Nothing like crying for the weak and curling up into a ball crying because you still can't curl 95 pounds, you fucking bitch. Welcome to episode 76 of the Off and Beat podcast. Oh, old 76. I should have sat this one out, I guess, like Ben Simmons. Or I'm going to be like Joel Embiid and just keep playing till my knee collapses. While other people just rest up. I guess you could say you're kind of like a prop gun, except don't want to be like Jada Pinkett and set it off on a movie set. Depends if you have your chamber of secrets of your love life and you want to keep shaming the Will of Smith. I'm pretty sure he's not too smitten about it. He's probably like, can you please just shut up about it? It's the public embarrassment has been paramount, kind of like the production of a quarter of his movies. Can you do him a favor and just please stop talking about why? It's okay. Because let me tell you, it's not. But, we all have our chamber of secrets. Sometimes we feel prisoners in our little escabin of terrorist thoughts. Sometimes you want to blow up the spot, and sometimes you need to blow up your toilet. Because all the shit that must come out must go down. It's like what Mary Poppins said, right? Today's sponsor is Robitussin, so you can put on a robe and tuck in your tugging nuts. And no matter how you package the deal, depending on the pickle you put yourself in, you'll still cramp. Because if you cramp when you're giving her the deal, maybe, just maybe, hydration. We all think we hydrate, but it's like Osmosis Jones. Liquidation is just waiting for us to exasperate what's at hand. Kind of like the Chance the Rapper album, where he has the glass palm thingy with holes in it, where it kind of looks like some futuristic shit, and it sounded like half that equation. But I'll just say, I'll leave that in the past. Oh, the ghost of Christmas past. It's almost Christmas though, right? You know what's beautiful about Christmas? We put up trees, and somehow we shake it to see what ornaments are. Did you know that when you buy a fresh tree, right? You go to one of those. This typically they don't really have these in the South, because you're kind of weird if you actually go to a random local spot and buy an actual tree. People go to Home Depot or go to Lowe's, and you should probably keep that on the low. Oh, Zach. Low post. But did you know that when you get a tree, before you even put it in your car, you're supposed to shake it. Shake it off. Shake off the potential critters, spiders, and it's kind of like some lettuce. You assume it's pre-washed. It will say it's pre-washed on the package of your lettuce. The next thing you know, you have a nice bowl of Caesar salad that you made at home. And then 4 hours later, you feel a little sick, and when you shit, oh, you shit. And you don't have to let us see. You just keep remaining the premises. And you kind of tip over like it's an iceberg. And your whole afternoon has been a Titanic sinking ship. Anyways, back to the point. You're supposed to shake the tree. You're supposed to basically check the tree, shake it, flip it around. And when you do that, whatever's on it doesn't make a damn difference. But hey, you can at least pretend that you went through the procedures and pretended they care about, safety measures. I wondered. So, there's a NASA channel on TV, by the way. So I haven't had cable in a fucking while, but I remember back in the heyday, DirecTV, you got a lot of pointless fucking channels. Remember there was stuff like fucking Nat Geo? Who the fuck watches that shit? But nah, there would be those weird channels, like past the 339 where it was like Fuse TV. Once you went past 339, it was sketchy. That's when you starting to get to like Al Jazeera, which, it's not that wasn't a credible news source, but once you go past that, you're going beyond the domestic television. You got like the Reuters. That's when you get to the stock television. That's when you get into those underground journalists, weird shit like Cheddar fucking TV. The same ones that you see at gas stations and Hardee's. Oh, keeping it Hardee's. And it becomes hard to eat these. But, and you would get to, then once you get to the 400s, it starts to get really sketchy. That's when you get like, what's examples of channels? It's been a while since I can stain my memory. Oh, damn. But that's when you start getting into, some weird channels. This is what they charge us $180 a month for. It's weird because what if the old thing is, what if you just like pick your channels, right? What if they made it where like TV was like when you go into a McDonald's and like a kiosk. You can literally go into the kiosk and you could customize your burger to a T that typically you would not customize to that extreme if you were just to order it. Because you know what? It's a lot to explain. Like, you know what? I want to substitute this bun into a pretzel bun. You know what? I want to change the cheese to Swiss cheese. You know what? Instead of ketchup and mustard, let me get some mayo and tartar sauce on that shit. You know what? Instead of this quarter-pound Angus, let me get some quarter-pound anus without the G. String. Yeah. And then can I actually get a G string to wrap it up? Wrap up the burger, which is kind of weird. It's kind of a dangerous thing, by the way. There's those places that literally put big-ass fucking toothpicks. I remember Ruby Tuesday. When you would get this thing called the Colossal Burger, they put this big-ass fucking knife and just stab it through your burger. It's a fairly decent-sized burger. But they bring it out to you and just already have it stabbed. And it's like, what if someone wasn't paying attention? But see, where you got to be careful of is when you go places like the Cheesecake Factory. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to DirecTV, but I'm about to direct you to the television at hand, me. And you wish you didn't pay for this, but here we are. Good thing it's free. Free of charge, but not free of peace of mind. Ooh, Clint's on a roll today. But it's like when you go to the Cheesecake Factory or any decent facility that sells club sandwiches. I have never been to a restaurant or a place where I ordered a club sandwich and this didn't happen. So it's a universal, acceptance that they just stick the fucking toothpicks in the sandwich. One, it's like, okay, not a big toothpick guy. It's always kind of weird to see a guy chewing a toothpick, but I get it. Some people are addicts. Some people do it because just chewing on something makes them feel comfortable. Whatever the fuck it is. I know they have nicotine toothpicks. Not trying to nitpick, but I don't feel like toothpicks are actually good for the teeth. At least mints make your, breath freshen. I don't know what toothpicks really do. There seems to be no benefit. The only thing it can do is you can accidentally stab your gum, your tongue, in between your teeth. You may accidentally swallow it, which is kind of the point. Why are there big-ass toothpicks in my club sandwich? Because what if, for whatever reason, I pull out the skinny wood thing that kind of looks like one of the things at Crackle Barrel, kind of a questionable place when you really think about it. And those little, it used to also be at Folks, again, another questionable place. Oh, sweet Southern hospitality. Boy, they have those wood games. But you know that triangle game where you have like 8 like plastic little wood sticks, but there's like 9, I believe there's like 9 triangle spots, right? It's basically like a pool table, but you're just sticking things in the holes instead of putting your balls into the holes. I guess it's a reverse function. It's crazy how that works. I guess like Drake says in Lemon Pepper Freestyle, purple like 360, my heart turns full circle. He says something about purple. You get the fucking point. But, in the club sandwiches, I get the whole point that it's supposed to keep it together. Because if anyone needs to understand what a club sandwich is typically supposed to be, it's supposed to be piece of bread at the top, then it's like lettuce, tomato, bacon, mayo. And then they put a middle bread. It's basically like a healthier, well, quote unquote, looks healthier Big Mac. Except it's just regular white, butter white bread. Sunbeam bread. Oh, can I get a little white bread in my club? So I guess if I'm trying to enter a country club, when they say, can we see your club pass? And I'll just bring a to-go order from Cheesecake Factory and be like, here it is. And then my pass is that I just hand the guy at the counter a club sandwich. Ha, Clint, you're not funny. I know. That's the whole fucking point. So, you have the white bread in the middle, and then you repeat the lettuce, tomato, bacon, mayo process, and then you put the bread at the bottom. Except typically in club sandwiches, they cut it in 4s. So that means they have to use 4 separate toothpicks for one sandwich. Seems like not really a great use of your resources. Seems like cut it in half, use 2. Or don't cut it at all and just put one big one. But I get it. At least cut it in half, use 2. But there's no need to use 4 big-ass toothpicks. I mean, I guess it's nice they put the little red tag at the top or the blue tag to let you know, like, hey, don't eat this toothpick and look like something off House of a Thousand Corpses. Or look like some off of Saw. Because maybe if you would have saw it, wouldn't have happened to you. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but sure can have a lifetime of ramifications. But I just don't understand how hazards and safeties of eating a club sandwich with the toothpicks in it, how come there hasn't been more incidents? I don't know. It just seems highly unnecessary. But anyways, back to DirecTV, back to channels. So it just seemed like a bunch of wasted channels. And there was this one channel called the NASA channel. What is the NASA channel? Well, as you would expect, it's a channel full of things that typically NASA would do. It would show pictures and long programming of space, of expeditions. It'd be like small little documentaries, small little shows of basically a self-absorbed, at least well-earned self-absorbed. There's a lot of people that have channels really dedicated to one person or one thing that aren't really warranted. Think of it like a YouTube channel, but on TV 24 hours a day of just watching NASA shit. Um, so they'll show takeoffs and liftoffs because as the big ones know, we know like the Challenger. I would assume we know the big tipping points, the ones that didn't go well. But so if you watch the beginning and you watch a ship go up into space, it reaches or it's up in space, and then weeks, months later, however long they're up in space, and they decide, you know what, it's time to come back down to Earth. Now, if you're watching an 8-hour fast forward documentary of that, I guess you can say the only proper thing to do would be as the, if you want to feel like you're a part of NASA, the closest thing you can do, you can't ever actually be it, but you can replicate it in your own way. It's like, you know what? I can't replicate what it's like to throw a touchdown pass in the NFL. But you know what I can do? I can go outside. I can throw my slightly deflated football. And I can throw it 20 yards and dump it into a trash can. Or I can throw it, hit a line drive, through a wooden chair. Or I can throw it at someone's windshield and crack it. Kind of like getting cracked if you throw an 18-yard post route in the middle. But let's say it's getting to that point in the program where the people, they have evacuated the pod that they're at, and they're about to land on the land. I guess you can say if you have the remote in your hand, you're technically watching a remote landing. Oh, shit, Clint. Go fuck yourself. Well, since you asked. Is it wrong? Could you ever... It's a common thing that's more likely in society today. Could you as a man or a guy or a guy about to be a guy or a girl about to be a guy or a guy who doesn't know if you're a guy, if your girl were to propose to you, would you even consider accepting it? Even if you wanted to get married, even if you were thinking about it, but you know what? She actually had the courage to take lead and, get on one knee and tell you, baby, I can see a kiss from a rose. And you're like, no. Because, you want to still live that bachelor lifestyle. By bachelor lifestyle, I literally mean you watch The Bachelor because you're a pathetic man. Actually, I don't know what's worse. Watching The Bachelor or watching The Bachelorette. It's kind of weird how we kind of have this weird accepted thing that we like going back to television. Why is it just this normal thing? Could you imagine being one of those 30 individuals fighting over an individual or proving to one individual who is just getting passed around like Rondo in his prime? Well, I guess more passed around like Magic, but those have real ramifications. HIV, hey, I victorious. I feel like there's been a girl named Victoria on The Bachelorette at some point. Talk about bacheloring to king. Or you could say there's a Panic at the Disco, but you don't want to be the death of a bachelor, because you did too much cocaine at your grandma's funeral. Talk about leaving the dust behind, but not inflammation. Inflammation in the nose is not good for your health. So if that's what makes you stop doing cocaine, then that's what we're going to do. But yeah. It's like, who the fuck actually wants to sit there and watch one person decide between 30 people directly of people they would never actually meet in a real setting in real life and be like, I like this one. Or man, it's like the show almost feels like a last resort, even though most of these people are like 33 at most. Most of these people are like mid to late 20s, and it's this weird fucking show that I still don't understand. I get not all shows are meant for you, but the reality of the show is that it should feel like, you know what, there's some real stakes here. I can see the realism. I can understand Bret Michaels back in the day having a show called Rock of Love, because he's like 12 years past Guns N' Roses. Well, he wasn't Guns N' Roses. Poison. Jesus Christ. I should probably drink fucking Poison now because I fucked up. I really confused Bret Michaels for Axl Rose. Someone get an axe and slash my head and say, baby, I just want to see a kiss from Rose. And, Jesus. That's definitely not a paradise city I want to be in. Oh, sweet child of mine. That's what I would say if I was a bachelor. If I were to finally choose the one, I feel like her name would be like Rebecca or something. I feel like if I was on the show Bachelor, Clint, who do you choose? I choose Rebecca. And they're like, there's not a single girl in this whole competition that was named Rebecca. I was like, well, if you're going to be with me, your name's Rebecca. You got to legally change it. Oh. I don't know. I've always had a thing. I guess you could say it's like a fetish. Oh. There's nothing, you know what's weird about fetishes? Is that fetishes are actually a beautiful thing. Fetishes, to me, get a bad rap. You know what's funny is that fetish and preference is literally the same thing. However you want to break down the semantics. So before people are like, well, actually a fetish is when you have a very dark desire, and a preference is just something that, oh, it's more like, it's the same thing. But when you say fetish, it's almost like a taboo thing. It's like, oh, it's like if, let's just say, a special someone says, oh, I like to be punching the pussy, like Trevor Bauer's victims. Even though, by the way, I don't think that was part of their agreement, but according to him, it was. So, as we know, all men tell the truth. As we know, so do women. By the way, I'm just going to say, go on a limb here. I don't think anywhere in your, I don't know, maybe everyone's different, because maybe in their pre-agreements for these interactions, maybe she was like, don't be afraid to really punch down on me. And he's like, oh, well, don't give me the cue to go. Well, I'll get out my pool stick and just boom. Break it. Talk about breaking the triangle. How about playing the triangle offense without, ramifications? Man, only if they would have made it work. But whatever. Anyways. But really, preference and fetish. It's funny how fetishes have this negative connotation, but people can openly say, I have a preference for, let's say, I don't know, I like clipping a stranger's toenails I just met, go to their place. I like to clip their yellow toenails, and I like to put it in a little Rubbermaid container. And then I like to close the container, let it sit in the fridge for 3 days, let the toenails harden. And then I put it in my pasta sauce. And then when I put it in my pasta sauce, of course, I put it over pasta. And then I feed it back to the person whose toenails is in it, but they don't know about it. That's my fetish. And when I see them eat it, and when I see them eat the pasta with their own toenails simmered in it, God. Whew. It makes me want to drop these panties like it's hot, no matter how much the Nelly at hand, because it's getting hot in here. But yeah. But if someone were to say that's just a fetish, be like, oh, all right, do your thing. Hopefully you find someone who works out for you. But you're still fucking weirdo. But if someone has an open preference and say, well, I don't fuck fat people. Hey, they have a right to whatever preference they want. You can't shame them for their preference. But we'll shame the lady who cooks the person's toenails and puts it in their food and makes them eat it, and that person doesn't know they're eating it. But because someone has a preference to not want to be with overweight people or people that are bigger than they would like to sexually interact with. For some reason, ironically, the preference, because you identify it as a preference, is wrong. But if you were to switch it and say, actually, I have a preference to cook my partner's toenails and make him eat it, people are going to think, wow, Michael Myers 2.0. But then, if you say, oh, I like to purposely fuck overweight, obese, extremely fat people, it's a fetish of mine. For some reason, let them do their thing. See, if you always add, just let them do their thing. Then guess what? They're going to do their thing. And there's nothing wrong with doing your thing as long as your thing is not interacting with anyone else's thing, unless you're the thing on Fantastic Four. And the remake of the Fantastic Four was not a great thing. Oh, Johnny should have blazed that movie on fire. It's crazy how that movie had really good people a part of it. But it just sucked. It'd be the equivalent of, I don't know, let's just throw a random team out there. It'd be like if the Charlotte Hornets, you have Michael B. Jordan, who's LaMelo Ball. You have Miles Teller, Gordon Hayward. No, I'm not racial profiling, just saying the obvious. Then you have the Kate Mara girl, or is it Rooney? No, that's Kate. Oh, Kate Spade. That's a suicide joke. Not funny at all. But let's say she's Miles Bridges. Then, let's just take a shot in the dark and say the thing is PJ Washington, because he's going to need a lot he's going to need thick skin, quite literally, to deal with the criticism of everything this offseason. And boy, unlike J. Cole's, it was not a great offseason. See what I did? Shamelessly plugged an album that was one of the top selling albums of the year that doesn't need a plug from me. But you know what this is? The Off and Be podcast. Let me tell you something about blinds. Blinds are more than okay. Peeping Toms, there's a place for them in society. I think peeping Toms and creeps and people that look at you when you're not looking, and people that make you uncomfortable when you have that feeling that someone's looking at you unsolicited, unconsensually, from a distance, of course. I think we all kind of like it. It's not always in a sexual manner. It's not always in a dehumanizing manner. It's not always in a creepy manner. I think we all like to be looked at when we don't want to be looked at. Because opportunities won't come your way when you're not looking. You would want opportunities to come when you're not actively looking for it, right? Sometimes the best things blindside you. Kind of like a drunk driver. Boom, changes your life. Didn't even know it. But opportunities, the greatest opportunities you will get are the ones that you didn't expect coming. Because it's that surprise feeling. It's like when you run into the love of your life after you got your leg amputated. You didn't expect it. It's probably the least where you're like, there's not exactly a Tinder walking circle outside of the amputation clinic. Not exactly. It's not exactly the go-to. It's not like waiting outside of Vander Holyfield's house. It's not like waiting outside of Drake's house where, you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. Well, you know what? Sometimes opportunities you don't take is probably best for you. Probably don't wait outside someone who just got their leg amputated because, they ate dollar scoop for 4 years straight. But whatever. Killed yourself. Cut off. Talk about cutting someone off. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. When you're not looking. I wish I had a stalker. I think stalkers, a healthy amount of stalking when it doesn't go too far. What qualifies as too far? Probably breaking into your house. Probably putting a shower cam. Probably putting secret cams inside your house. But outside your house, I don't think that's too far. Even is on your property. I mean, you have a ring door outside your house and you get the creep on people just walking on the sidewalk and eavesdropping their conversations. We have no problem with that. We have no problem with having drones, just drones you could get for Best Buy for $700 and you could roam it around the neighborhood. And now they have voice in hearing, so you can literally hear people's conversations. We have no problem with that. But for some reason, when someone is directly like the movie, it's the movie Disturbia? The Shia LaBeouf one? Yeah. The dude while he was stalking the girl who just moved in next door. By the way, such a stereotypical storyline. Girl moved in next door. He's creeping her at the pool, having all this equipment, and then he starts creeping about this weirdo across the street, and he sees some things. He thinks he killed his wife, which he did, or he killed a girl, a couple people. Finds out the whole basement full of a lot of dead people. On top of that, because his mom starts dating the guy. Now I'm starting to remember the story. It's a pretty disturbing story. Right, Rihanna? I guess you could say he went to work on Shia LaBeouf's mother. Even though she didn't die in the movie. But, she loved him for a reason. And I'm sure it wasn't just his charm. But yeah. So, he started stalking on this guy. He started staking out overnight, seeing what he's doing. Who is this guy? Then he realized one night he was looking at him too. But see, when both people know it, it's not fun. You get scared. You try to kill each other, especially when one of you is hiding something. But when just one person is stalking someone, no harm, no foul. It's just curiosity. We all are curious about things. Look, if you leave the blinds open, it's free game. You could say you didn't want people to see whatever they saw. And I'm not saying people should just be actively seeing what you're doing, but at the same time, what if I see you abusing your child and slamming his face on the RCA TV? And then you try to go to Circuit City back in the day, and you try to say, hey, I have a warranty for this. Like, oh, well, how'd your TV break? It just stopped. It's like, oh, well, do you have the TV? And can we see the condition? So you're like, sure. Show them a picture, and you're like, it looks like someone's head smashed the TV. It's like, it wasn't someone's head. Someone threw a basketball through my window and hit my television. And they're like, well, we would need to prove that. It's like, no, you're gonna. And they just do it anyways. But guess what? If you could have told them the truth, you could have saved that child with human resources, child services, saved that child's life. But probably more importantly, she wouldn't have got another TV. Fuck her warranty. Not everyone deserves a second chance. Fuck your warranty. Ironically, you don't warrant another TV. Oh, talk about the longest yard. And you are a long yard away. You know what they say? You know, it's like they say, in big moments, a yard feels like a mile. But in small moments, a mile feels like a yard. And you see what I did there? You notice how if you reverse and inverse words when you're saying a quote, all of a sudden, people think, wow, great quote. For example, about to run through stuff I'm making up in my head, but guess what? It's going to sound like, wow, wisdom on 10. You can tangle my balls into a tennis racket, but a tennis racket can't tangle my balls unless it was well served. Like a club sandwich at Cheesecake Factory. I'm kidding. But you see, before the club sandwich part, a lot of men are like, wow, let me think about that. Because you know what does? It makes you think. These people that make these fucking quotes and think like, wow, people will take me serious. People will think I've figured out the lessons of life. I figured out what it takes. Yet, you know, they can't even take getting fired from their job without being like, hey, I suck. It's always someone else's fault. And that's what I'm about to do. I'm not going to say it because I have a theory. But episode 74, even though it's on the tube, for some reason, I retried. I put different titles, different fucking descriptions. And for some reason, it would not go on Spotify. And I was like, you know what? Maybe there's something with my feed. Maybe there's something with this episode not going on it. Now it was on every other feed, every other site that I would normally be on. But Spotify wouldn't. So I'm like, maybe there's something with my situation with Spotify. So I posted a random joke of the day I did months ago for some random. Like, you know what? Let me just see. I posted that. 5 minutes, it was up. I even, for episode 75, I did something I would never, ever abide by. And I did one of those rewind episodes whenever podcasts just want an excuse to be lazy that week. It's like, just don't put out an episode. You don't have to put a rewind episode. But you know what? I decided, you know what? Episode 75, anniversary of something that I've only been doing for 3.5 months. But hey, actually 4.5. Wow, Clint, too much credit. But about to give you a little extra cred. And I reposted episode 1. And I got to admit, that was a pretty good episode. And I'll tell you what that episode, this is one of these blessing in disguise. Put this in your quote fucking machine, you asswipes. Because of the situation of me trying to go through, and I was just trying out shit. And I was like, wow, so this one went through. So it was somehow Spotify can detect your audio pretty quickly and be like, yeah, we're not putting this on. Because I talked about a guest that was on a podcast that is exclusive with Spotify that you can do the math. And even though it wasn't negative, but I talked about the subject. And I thought it was very well detailed. I thought I did really well. I thought I really actually tapped into a serious subject. You know what happens when I go serious for a whole fucking episode? Spotify's like, nah, fuck you, Clint. So I was like, well, I'll just go fuck myself then, huh? I guess this is the I'll just go fuck myself podcast now. But I'll tell you what it did make me do. When I posted that quote-unquote Spotify exclusive, even though it's not because it's all over everything. But I wanted to put Spotify not so exclusive. Should have probably done that, but well, it's just me and you. But it's just us two. So I posted that. And I was like, fuck it. I never really re-listen to episodes I do. Because I'm like, why the fuck do I need to re-listen for anything more than just when I'm doing the timestamps? I'm not going to listen to it for pleasure. I hate hearing myself. Most people hate hearing me. But that's fine. But listen, I was like, man, I'll tell you what it did do, though. It made me get back to the basics of what this podcast was supposed to be about. Complete nonsense. And not literally complete nonsense, but it's supposed to be quick whip, wham bam, thank you, mom. It's supposed to be ma'am, but, that change it up there. It's amazing the difference between an A and an O when you're using technology. But yeah, don't cry me a river. I'll stop. But anyways, the point. It was supposed to be quick hit, quick wit. I say quick wit. Quick hit, quick wit, quick lit, and some itty bits. It's supposed to be fast paced, corny puns, jokes. It's supposed to be lighthearted with some real sensibility in it. It's supposed to be a show, not, oh, what's Clint's deep opinion about something? Who fucking cares what I think? It's supposed to be quick, entertaining, 45 minutes, hour plus. Sometimes I'll touch on other things, but for the most part, episodes like today, I would say if I had to do in my head review, I'm about to review this episode when I'm still doing the episode. The first half was very similar to that point in time. But I think what happened is throughout the process of doing these episodes, I've been having a lot of I've been not as sharp mentally, but since lately I've been getting back into working out and exercising and eating better, I've been feeling better again. I've been feeling more confident in what I'm talking about. The puns and jokes I'm writing again, everything's starting to boom, boom, shaka like a turtle. And I'm not in my shell. Because we back, baby. But really, it was one of those blessings in disguise. Because by listening, I was like, wow, I haven't had an episode sound like this in a while. Audio-wise, because now I have to convert, and it's not the fucking same. I gotta admit, but I'm working on the audio to make it a little bit better. But I like the audio. I like the quickness. The whole idea I had when I created this podcast. I didn't want it to be a niche podcast or nothing, but I've been thinking about trying to be consistent in the type of the way I talk, the same style, I should say. Doesn't mean I can't venture off here and there for things I enjoy as well, personally, and talk about stuff in more detail, but just getting back to what people came here for. And that's for going off and beaten to the same or different or indifferent, quick, hidden, Drumline drums. But you know what? This is a step in the right direction. I really feel like from here on out, I'm going to get back to what it was all about. Because I'm not going to lie. There's been some episodes where when I'm doing the timestamps and putting on, I'm like, wow, this sounds incredibly boring. Who the fuck would listen to more than 10 minutes of this? Because I just talk slow. It seems I'm out of it. I'm tired, even if I'm not. But I'm just not there. And I always told myself I would not record a podcast if I just not sharp enough to do it. Because I don't have a set schedule when I post these. I don't know. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, people expect this. Because my theory is I hate listening to shows and I'm doing exactly what I said I'll stop doing, but I feel like it's important for the audience. It's very important because I think about what do I hate when I listen to shows, right? And I notice patterns when the original intent for why I listen to the show of that person, when they try to change it into a less interesting and they're trying to make it more about a soapbox about things, that's when I tune out. Or when they want to do a bunch of things that I personally don't care about, which is their right, but at the same time, that's not why I subscribe to the show, and I'm mindful of that. And I'm getting back to the basics with that. I want, when someone tells a show, when someone explains a show to someone, I want someone to say, you're going to get this, and a little bit surprised here and there. I don't want to listen to the same show every time, but I do think a certain style that's distinct to you, and I like to think what I do is a little bit more unique than the average podcast. There's people that do solo podcasts, but I don't think there's many people that just rattle off puns and bad jokes and shit and dryness and awkwardness. I understand I'm a very unique type of audience. It's not about getting 100,000 listeners, but it's about getting people that when they just want to listen to some shit and they may learn something or may have a different perspective and they get lost in the roll your eye puns. That's what this show's about, and that's what we'll continue being about. But in the meantime, don't forget to suck some titties. Man, that was a good high note. Alright, that was episode 70, the old Philly 76. And you can Philly me up, but Meek Mill, you still got bodied by Drake. And like this in my previous episode, I did them back to back. I don't want to hear about it ever again. Even when she tell you that you're better as friends. Is that a world tour? Is that a world tour or my girl's tour? Alright, that was episode 76 of the Off and Beat podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Continue the support. It's been good. Followers have been increasing. Plays, I noticed with certain titles, I get more plays. I've been trying different type of title styles, but hey, you guys don't fucking care about that. That's for me to worry about. But yeah, have a great day. And also, for anyone that cares, go listen to the Plain and Simple podcast. It's actually a local podcast closer to me with some people that in my area. I don't know them personally per se, but I've been in communication about them with some stuff. And, maybe work on stuff in the future, hopefully. But they have a great podcast. Go check out the Plain and Simple podcast with Logan Lewis and I believe it's Theron. It's a great podcast. Great audio. Great subject matters. I enjoy it. I like the flow of the... But yeah. Alright guys, have a great day, and don't forget to shake and bake them, easy bake. Can I make out? Can we go home? Can we take out? Can I make a girl come? Yeah, I can. If she ever came over, I'd be like, stop, please stop.